our first guest, special guest, the Honorable Inusah Fuseini, joining us right now from somewhere in Ghana, I believe. Honorable, thank you very much for joining us again, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, sir. Anytime. You know this is your home. And where are you joining us from, by the way? You up north, or you still in Accra?
No, in Accra.
Okay. Honorable, thank you very much once again. So before we start anything, I would like to ask you about okay, so let's go straight to it then. Recently, the government launched the Blue Water Initiative. We spoke to you the other time, and you had some very well thought, if you ask me, ideas about how to tackle Galamsey. I want to have a broad discussion about whether the Blue Water Initiative forms part of the ideas that you had. But before that, let's watch this video real quick, sir. And when we come back, we will talk a little more about it. One moment, please.
The relentless devastation of Ghana's water bodies, including major rivers like the Pra, Ankobra, and Tano, has necessitated urgent intervention. In response, the John Mahama administration, through the Ministries of Lands and Natural Resources, Works, Housing and Water Resources, and Environment, is implementing the Blue Water Initiative. Speaking at the policy launch and training opening at the Ghana Navy Forward Operating Base in Enzlibo, General District of the Western Region, Emmanuel Amakofibua stressed the urgency of the situation, highlighting government commitment to swiftly training and deploying the blue water gas to halt the destruction.
The imperative for urgent action has never been more pressing. As the term they use, they call it the urgency of now. People don't want us to say it, but this is crisis of our lifetime. At the heart of why we are here is the Blue Water Initiative. And at the heart of this initiative lies the Blue Water Guards program, which aims to train, this year alone, 2,000 dedicated individuals across the country to protect our valuable water bodies. Water guards will serve as the frontline defenders of our rivers, ensuring that our water resources remain a source of life, livelihood, prosperity for generations to come. The responsibilities of the Blue Water Guards are paramount in the fight against illegal mining.
The Deputy Chief Executive.
Honorable.
Yes, sir.
Does the Blue Water Initiative form part of the broad idea that you discussed with us the other day? What do you think about the Blue Water Initiative, sir?
Well, thank you. This afternoon, we are going to engage in a serious discussion of national importance.
Mm-hmm.
National importance because we all know the devastating effect of Galamsey or illegal mining on the water bodies of our country, Ghana. We know that our water bodies have been polluted to the point that they can no longer support life, marine life. We also know that the farmers who hitherto depended on those bodies, water bodies for sustenance on their farms, can no longer use the water on their farms. They can't drink the water. They can't use the water to mix chemicals to spray their crops. And so it will come to you as no surprise that farming is now more expensive than before because farmers have had to buy water, treated water, and transport the water to their farms. Now, so the water bodies are part of the ecosystem, nourishing the environment, nourishing aquamarines, and ensuring that there's enough food for all of us. They also beautify the environment. That is why it is called the Blue Water Initiative. In the past, if you went to the forest areas and saw the meandering water bodies, you were thrilled. It gave you some comfort. But now those water bodies have been blocked. Not only polluted, but blocked. So the natural water courses have been rendered useless. And there have been serious diversions of the water bodies. Now, the Blue Water Initiative is an initiative aimed at, one, protecting the water bodies and ensuring their recovery, the recovery of those water bodies. It's going to take a long time. But it is only when you are able to protect the water bodies that you give it an opportunity to recover.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it recovers, can then support life, marine life, nourishing the trees, whatever, and assisting the farmers. To be able to do that, you need a dedicated group of people from the communities. Mind you, the water is a natural resource which is found in communities. Never mind that the water runs and traverses many communities. Every community abutting the water body claims the water body, has a share in the utilization of the water body. So the Blue Water Initiative is to inculcate in the people who are along the water course their duty to protect the water body. But this time, it is not a voluntary duty. It's a duty that is supported by the state.
Mm-hmm.
And the people do not just go there and start chasing those who are polluting the water bodies. They have been trained, one, in self-defense, two, in spotting those who are polluting our water bodies, three, in how to confront them, four, in the reporting mechanisms. If, for instance, if you assess the risk and you can't confront those polluting the water bodies, you know where to relay the information to for reinforcement to come to deal with those who are polluting the water bodies. So it's a structured system to ensure that we give our water bodies an opportunity to recover.
Got it. But Honorable, so when I saw it, my first reaction, which was actually trumpeted by many people, was that recently we know that we've had reports. The other day we were speaking about our good mutual friend Erastus Asaridonko and his reports, and he has reported the invasion of the forest by some armed elements. In the previous government, former Eastern Regional Minister, I call him Sata Champon, made a trip into one of the forests. When he came back, the report he gave was quite scary about guns and stuff like that in the forest. So my reaction was, the Blue Water Guards, are we putting them in harm's way if we put them in these forests to guard our water bodies without, because I don't believe they are armed, are they? And then they're going to confront people who are, one, first of all, not dealing with any rules, and secondly, are heavily armed. Are we putting our young men and women in harm's way?
First of all, I think that I agree with you that there is some level of risk. And so that's why they are sent through training to determine the level of risk and the appropriate response to give. That's why they are trained. So if a Blue Water Guard or a group of Blue Water Guards, Blue Water Guards confront or come across people who are polluting the water body, they will assess the risk of confrontation. And if they feel that it's too risky for them to confront those people, they have reporting mechanisms. Okay, so that they can relay the information. Now, if you want, you can call them as first responders. That we have come across this is a terrible situation. We think that something ought to be done about it, and we are reporting it to the reception center for action to be taken, a coordinated action to be taken to deal with the situation. Now, if we don't do that, even if we send soldiers there, soldiers cannot be there 24 hours, 365 days. So soldiers are going to go in, zoom in, clear, and move away. But these forest guards will be there almost every day. So the activities of the polluters of the water bodies cannot escape them. Now, so the first thing, and when I was Lands and Natural Resources Minister, the first thing I was told by Malaysia in fighting illegal activities in the forest reserves and in small-scale mining, or whatever illegal activities are done by human beings, is to have timeous response, quick action. And because when you calculate backwards, if you spot people polluting the water bodies and you report and calculate backwards how many minutes it would, or how many hours it will take them to disengage from their activity and escape, and factor in your response to ensure that the people, even if they're going to escape, will escape and leave their equipment. Or if they want to disengage their equipment and escape, you will get them there. Or when do we plan our activities in such a way that we will catch them on site? So timeous reaction is very important in dealing with illegalities.
I agree with
one
you.
One of the things that these water guards were doing will be relaying information on areas that these polluters are.
Okay.
For the state to act.
And they are recruited from the communities, you
yes.
said. So being that they are locals, don't you think they are also visible targets for people who may be engaged in some of these things? Like, for instance, we live in a small community. We know each other. We know that's a blue water guard. The other guy who does the galamsey knows him and relays that information to his people. Don't you think they become targets?
Yes, so they could become targets. But I always quote from Shakespeare, Macbeth, that good people are always more than bad people. It is only when the good people refuse to act that the bad people take over.
That's right.
Now, in the despoliation of the environment is when we, the citizens, responsible citizens of the community, refuse to act, that we are overcome by the bad people through fear. And all over the world, citizen action is what stops illegalities. It is not the state. The state must complement the citizens. In America, the community that you live, your security is in your hands. And because you are responsible citizens, you've been educated that if you fail in discharging your responsibility as a citizen, you are putting your own life in danger. Now, so the people living in the communities know what Galamsey has done to them. I went to Chichere, and the last time I told you, and the Queen Mother said that our forefathers, no munim says sikakoko ewo nsionu. Nenso omanko nsionu mu enko yi sikakoko no. Efre say no munim say so mu yesa omunye nsuo enu. Today, those who are doing the Galamsey, the kingpins of the Galamsey, are not from the communities. What they are doing is just exploiting the labor in the communities.
Exactly.
So if you conscientize the people to understand that the fight against illegal activities is their own fight, is their children who are being exposed to the hazardous substances being used by illegal miners, is their wives who are suffering from miscarriages and bringing forth deformed children, The adults and the children are suffering from an increased incidence of liver diseases. Okay, and they have to go through dialysis. So if you get them to and the evidence is there for them to see, even in the past, they used to say that gold mining, wom. I mean, if someone was doing gold mining, because of the use of those chemicals, you will see finally he dies from a disease. Silicosis. You remember silicosis? Even in the established mines, was the outcome of mining deep down the belly of the earth.
Yeah.
So we've always known that there are dangers.
So
unregulated mining is more dangerous because the unregulated miners and illegal miners use substances unapproved by the Minerals Commission. And that's why we have to come together to fight it.
That's right. And speaking of the kingpins and the financiers and all that, I've had some people ask that it's not too difficult to trace those stores that sell champagnes and their parts. For instance, most of these things, I don't believe they are manufactured in Ghana. They come through the ports and all of that. Is the general plan considering this also, moving into, for instance, not make champagnes and all these other things so easily accessible? For instance,
it's already a law.
And Honorable, please, before you continue, can you please tilt your camera a little bit? It looks like one of our viewers is saying that they can't see your full face. They can only see part of,
I'm using a laptop.
Oh, if you can just tilt it a little bit. So there you go. Much better. Much better now. It's much better. We can see more of your face now. Please go ahead.
Okay. I'm using a laptop. So
yes.
Now, so the manufacture, the importation, manufacture, sale, or distribution of champagne in Ghana is already outlawed. You can't have it in Ghana. And that is why I give you my example. Around 2013, when we went to the Denchira area, or Dunkwa, and I saw about 9 or so champagnes on the River Ofin, I was so disgusted that the then district chief executive lost his job. Because you cannot be a district chief executive and there is a law that bans the use of champagne in Ghana, and you as a district chief executive will treat the law with contempt and allow champagnes marked to be on the water body looking for gold. They were marked because the assembly was taking rent from them. So they needed to know their number, and so that those who were operating them will pay to the assembly.
How does that even happen?
So it was so unacceptable to me that I reported the matter, and the district chief executive had to lose his job. Dunkwa. So
this was under the previous government?
Yes, in 2013, when I was minister.
Oh, okay.
So I was surprised when, under the previous government, 25, not 9, 25 champagnes were found on the River Ofin, removed and destroyed, and the district chief executive was still sitting in office. So it is important that, and I go back to citizens' action, it is important that we let the citizens know that these things cannot be in Ghana. You can't manufacture, you can't import, you can't sell, you can't distribute champagnes in this country. And the law is that you can't dredge on a water body unless, of course, you are desilting the water body, and that must be done by permit.
I see. Okay, now let's shimmy a little bit away from illegal mining and speak a little bit about mining in general. So recently, there's been a lot of talk about Ghana and the need to get more from our resources. We've heard that from some, very high placed people, and then also from the general populace. Now, I don't know if I'm reading it right, but I do see a little bit of body language from the government in that direction. And I'm referring at this point to the Damai mines and the exit of Goldfields. Let's watch this video really quickly and then let's talk about that also for a second, Honorable.
AGL failed to declare verifiable mineral reserves in its renewal application. According to Regulation 189 of the Minerals and Mining Act, an application to extend a mining lease, among others, must include a comprehensive technical report and a program of mining operations. Any such report should have verifiable mineral reserves indicating, for example, how many ounces of gold have been found and how much will be mined to justify the extension. Without a declared reserve, the Minerals Commission cannot recommend the extension of the lease. It is instructive to note that the company's 2024 annual reports, which were published in March 2025, which is about a week or so after the notice of rejection was served on the company, has vindicated the government of Ghana's positions.
Courtesy Channel 1 News. Honorable, first of all, what necessitated the exit of Goldfields? And also, we hear the government saying that it's going to take over. What's the general plan? Do you know anything about that?
So first of all, just listening to the minister, you will see clearly that they failed to comply with the law.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so there is an African mining vision. And that vision seeks to say that our mineral resources must be exploited for the benefit of our countries.
Mm-hmm.
And that we must use our mineral resources as catalysts for growth. That is what we have now, which is in the ground, and they are not renewable. And so if you allow investors or foreigners or people to take away the mineral resources in the ground without a corresponding benefit to the state, you lose out.
Mm.
You lose out. Now, it is important for all of us to understand that even though we welcome investors into this country, we want our engagement with them to be above board.
Mm-hmm.
It should be transparent, and they must be accountable. So if a mining company is operating in this country and wants to renew its lease, we must know what is the plan of the mining company.
Mm-hmm.
Within the year of its operation, consequent upon the renewal, how many ounces of gold are they going to produce? That is important for us to know and assess what benefit will come to us and whether or not it is even prudent
Mm-hmm.
to renew the license. Because we're not encouraging foreigners to just come and take our minerals away. We appreciate that we might not have the technology. But yes, compensating for their investment, we must get rewards. So in this Goldfield case, we are not satisfied that the company has followed through with the letter of the law and complied with what the law says they should make available to this country through the minerals, through the Minerals Commission.
It doesn't sound like it was a very hard thing to do for a company of that stature, though. Why do you think they were trying to leave by themselves? Because I wonder. you know this is what you came to do. You know it's a requirement, right? That's a big company. It seems to me as if they had already decided to leave.
Yeah. So no. They didn't decide to leave. They applied for a renewal. That place is still very interesting.
And I was going to ask you, Honorable, that was going to be my next question to you. Is it a viable mine? Is it worth spending any energy on at all?
It's a viable mine. That's why they applied to renew in the first place. But they thought that, everybody says that in Ghana everything is possible. So they thought that the system as they know it will exist. And so even if they didn't couple the application for renewal with whatever the law demands them to do, they will still be able to have their way.
So this is the case of a new sheriff in town showing different sets of rules. Is that what's happening?
No. Now, if we're showing different set of rules, but now you have been hearing them making noise.
No, I'm saying different set of rules, as in different set of rules from the everything is possible mantra that they are used to.
Now we're just it's a fidelity to the law. So no one is now seeking to close his eyes to the obvious requirements of the law. Everybody's now saying, look, we've been taken for granted for far too long. And we can't allow, look at Obuasi. Money has been going there for close to 100 years. But Obuasi is not like Johannesburg.
No. Almost
so why?
Nothing to show for it.
Nothing to show for it. So do we allow that situation to continue? And when the gold is finished, what happens to us?
Basically.
It's a non-renewable resource.
All right. And Honorable, we also see the formation of the Gold Board. Recently, we heard Sami Jemfi make a statement about foreigners are not allowed licenses to trade in gold anymore. If you want to buy gold as a foreigner, you had to go through the Gold Board and all of that. This also seems like a giant step. Don't you think so?
So I tell you that we have gone back to the original position of the law. PMMC was established to buy gold from the small-scale mining sector, consequent upon the lifting of the ban on small-scale mining. And it's important for your listeners to know that until 1989, small-scale mining was a banned activity in Ghana. But because government appreciated the fact that small-scale mining could provide jobs for the teeming Ghanaians, that was why it was legalized. And a further reason why it was limited to only Ghanaians to do, and activities limited to only Ghanaians. Now, all the established mines, we don't have a refinery in Ghana. It's now that there are small refineries coming up. All the other established mines, when they mine the gold, they take it out of Ghana for processing. Now, small-scale miners, they can't take small quantities of gold out of this country for refining. You see? And then these people, the conception was not for middlemen to come and finance their activities so that they could take the gold to Dubai, India, and other places for sale. The conception was just give them opportunity to mine. It's small scale, it's artisanal mining. They use shovels and pickaxes. They won't destroy the environment. But when they win the gold, you must find a way to buy it. If not, they'll smuggle it to Togo or Ivory Coast. So what did we do? So PMMC was established to buy from the small scale mining sector. Now, as we continue, Ghana, then the argument came that you can't monopolize the sale and purchase of gold from small scale mining sector, and that we should the popular statement or word was that we should liberalize that activity. So other nationals, Indians, Arabs, many people came in, and then even Ghanaians then applied for licenses and were buying gold from a small scale mining sector. I have told Sami Jamfi that to demonstrate why you think that gold board should be the only institution that should be buying gold from a small scale mining sector, you should do one of two things.
Mm-hmm.
Conduct a research to show the linkage between the liberalization of the purchase of gold from small scale mining sector with the depopulation of the environment. Now, because everybody was buying from anywhere, people were now funding the activities of small scale miners, and the small scale miners were not now going to the Minerals Commission. It was now just go onto the land, mine, get gold, we'll buy. So that might be one of the reasons why the illegal destruction of our natural environment went on uncontrolled and unabated, because the most small-scale miners who were engaged in illegal activities were beyond the radar of the Minerals Commission.
Interesting. Very
The
interesting.
second thing is that I've advised that as he goes into office and starts the purchases, he should try to import the Kimberley process, which is the standard for dealing in diamonds, so that you can track where the gold is coming from. There must be a tracking mechanism for us to know how that person won the gold. Did he win it through a license granted by the Minerals Commission, or did he win it through an illegal activity?
But if they want to do an illegal activity, rather than bringing it to the gold board, doesn't that rather encourage them to then go and sell it on a black market?
That's why that thing is now banned. So now you cannot move gold out of this country unless you are the gold board. So the borders, our borders, will now be on alert, high alert, to ensure that gold is not taken out of this country unless it is done by the gold board.
Gold board. Interesting. Honorable, we can never have enough time with you. I'm telling you, we can never ever have enough time with you. But before we go, can I please ask you to chime in on this? We've seen the involvement of foreign nationals in that whole Galamsey thing, especially at the financial level. Now, going by some of the reports that we're getting from Erastus and so on, we're also hearing about mercenaries or people who are being recruited by these interests to come in the forest and basically guard their concessions, etc. What is the government doing about that? This presents a very serious diplomatic issue, doesn't it? But we also know the Mahama government. I remember back in 2000, maybe 13, thereabouts 14, maybe. I met President Mahama at New York University, right? And he was giving a lecture. And one of the questions I asked him was about the courage he had to deport 2,000 Chinese nationals.
5,000.
5,000.
I was there.
At the time, I see.
was the minister.
I see. But they were not 5,000 at a time, right? I think that at that time it was 2,000 at a time.
Total. In
Total 5,000.
In 2013, more than 5,000 Chinese and about 190 something West African nationals were deported from this country.
What kind of diplomatic backlash did that present? Tell us about that as we wrap up.
Present us with any diplomatic faux pas. Because we were enforcing the laws of our country. I remember the American ambassador then visited me in office to talk about other matters in connection with the exploitation of mineral resources in our country, and congratulated me. He told me that the fight that I was fighting was a nationalistic, patriotic fight. And
I
that
mean, it
no
wasn't
country
Americans that were deported, so if Chinese are deported, I'm expecting that they would say you're doing something great.
Well, he didn't say because Chinese were deported.
Please go on.
Because no one will sit unconcerned and allow the wealth of his country to be taken away.
That's right.
Okay? So, and the Chinese government never complained. Never complained to government that we're deporting Chinese nationals. Indeed, the Chinese ambassador visited me, and his concern was that the Chinese who were in Ghana because Ghanaians had lured them into coming into the country to engage in illegal activities. I said that was, as a public official, that was not my concern. Because I can't go to China and open an office to try to educate Chinese not to come to this country because they are being lured to come and engage in an illegal activity. What I told him, and he admitted, that it was the function of the Chinese government to acting through him as ambassador to educate Chinese citizens who wanted to come to this country that there's a requirement to follow the law. And the law is that no non-national is allowed to engage in small-scale mining. And he agreed. So there was no... Now, coming back to your question, I say that when people are engaged in an illegal activity, they are not paying tax. They are taking your resources. They are taking your gold. They are destroying your environment. And they are doing all that for free. There's no cost. What do you think they will do? They will protect that illegal activity they are engaging.
That's
not
right.
so.
That's
Because
right.
it doesn't incur any cost for them. So if you say mercenaries are coming in or people armed, the money they would have been paying through tax, they use it to bring in mercenaries to protect the concessions for them, because they're not paying. They're just taking, it's theft.
Right.
They're just stealing our resources.
That's right.
So it is for us all to stand up against it, because you can't have your resources in the country and somebody will... We know that when the British colonial administration came and colonized us, we had no power, so they took our resources away. But now we are an independent state, for God's sake. We can't allow people to come and take our resources away without those resources benefiting us. That is why government is taking a hard stance against illegal activity, and even taking a harder stance. Do you know that in 2014, $1.5 billion worth of gold was exported out of Ghana unaccounted for?
Wow.
Meanwhile, we went to IMF for $3 billion to be given to us over a period of 3 years. In 1 year alone, $1.5 billion was exported out of the country without records. We only got to know when the receiving country published the gold that they received from Ghana. That's theft.
Interesting. Honorable, thank you very much. Thank you so very much. As I said, it's an ongoing discussion. I wanted to speak to you more in depth about the government's body language towards nationalizing some of our resources. I think that's a more extensive discussion that we need to have. But can you just scratch that surface for us a little bit before, God willing, and by your, special permission, if we get you again, we can dig deeper.
So
is the government showing any body language towards nationalizing some?
Let me say that the government is not in the business of nationalizing state resources. Any investors' resources are protected by the Constitution. So no, But the government is adamant that any investor in this country must obey the laws of the country.
So how about renegotiating them? Because the laws as they are the same law that are giving us less than 10%. How about renegotiating them? If not,
we have said that even this colonial style of negotiation and royalties and whatnot has to change. And you recall when we discovered this real mineral, I was on record to have said that we should take an equity contribution in that. The state must find resources and take an equity contribution in the exploitation of the mineral. China developed an appropriated Western technology because of the strategic decision they took to ensure that any investor coming to invest in China and take advantage of the population and the rising prosperity must have a 51% Chinese controlling interest.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they got the technology transfer.
Mm. So
we might not be that powerful,
mm-hmm.
but we want our resources to benefit us. And paying royalties goes through a long, laborious process. Even when the gold prices hit the roof, you can be sure that the investor will increase his cost of production to whittle away the benefits that come to us.
Two quick minutes.
Mm-hmm.
2 minutes as we wrap up, Honorable. How is it that a whole state, right? And I made a note of this at the point in your time in your answer, but I didn't want to interrupt. But you did make the point about we may not have the resources to mine our gold. I don't understand that. How is it that a company can afford mining equipment and the whole state cannot afford mining equipment? What's the dynamics behind that? Are we under some type of agreement not to buy mining equipment as a state? Are we barred from buying mining equipment as a state?
When we say the resources, it's a combination of many things. The technology, the money to buy, the expertise to mine, and all that. It's a combination of a lot of things. And that is why, even in America, there are companies that are mining that are not American companies. Okay? And so it's because a country might have the resources, technology, that will offer the host country beneficial interest in the mining. Because if the technology is cheap or efficient, and then the company brings it in and mines in such a way that is productive output, is cost effective. You might want to go that way to limit your exposure in the mining business. So that might be the reason. And that, in fact, that is the reason why we are unable to invest directly in the mining activity. You remember under Nkrumah's regime, a lot of companies were set up. Those companies went into disuse. Because even when you set up those companies, you need the support of companies that will be producing the parts, the spare parts, to be able to, refurbish, repair machines, broken down machines. But we don't have anything at all. We have to import from the, producing country, the original equipment country. And so,
again,
so that is the problem.
I see.
But we want to get there.
Maybe one day, but that alone also springs up another 10 questions for me. But as I said, with your kind permission, another time we will sit down and pry a little more into that, because we really want to have this discussion about mining.
So our universities, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, what kind of engineers is it producing?
Let's examine that. They have a school of mines. That's under the.
They have a school of mines.
Yes.
What kind of engineers are they producing? What kind of we are doing aviation. What kind of engineers are they producing? We are only producing book engineers or what? Or is it because we don't have the incubators to allow them hands-on trials after producing them as engineers? Or what is it?
A national
For a very
discussion.
long time, Nkrumah established a university of science and technology because Nkrumah knew that science and technology will drive the prosperity of Ghana. But we cannot even manufacture our own bicycle.
we have Kantanka, Honorable. We can take solutions.
Have you seen a bicycle produced in Ghana?
We'll have a lengthier discussion, Honorable. Like I said, speaking with you is very infectious. I can never have enough of speaking with you. Thank you very much, Honorable Inusah Fuseini. At the proper time, we will revive the discussion again. The other time we had the discussion, we built on it today, and we will keep doing so until we feel like we've made our contribution to the general discourse. Thank you one more time, and all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.